Move over! So, I was watching a video that was made by Moto Man a little bit earlier, and it had to do basically with depreciation causing people to question the value of their cars. And basically what he was talking about was the fact that people are financing cars for longer and longer terms, and because they're doing that, they're ending up in car loans that are quickly depreciating and whatnot. The part of the problem is that the vast majority of people do not understand how to calculate loans, and they don't think about loans in the way the banks think about them. A lot of people don't understand math that well. A lot of people do not have experience with loans, but because I sell houses and work with mortgages, I understand it. And I've made this type of video before, but now I'm going to make it again, and I'm going to, give you a little tip or whatever about how you can calculate your own loans. And this works for not only car loans, but for student loans and for home loans, whatever you got. It pretty much works for just about any loan. Now, there are some things you could add in or take out, but for the most part, what you're going to want to do, get yourself a loan calculator. Now, I have been using Loan You Later for years. I love this loan calculator. You should be able to get it on the App Store. As you know, I only use pretty much Apple products because, Android products are for children. But Loan You Later, I'm going to leave the link inside the URL section of this video on YouTube. And basically, for people who don't understand how to use a loan calculator, I'm going to, do my best to show you how it works. So that this way, you too can calculate your own loans. It doesn't matter what you have, a student loan, a credit card, car loan, whatever. So anyway, you download Loan You Later into your iOS device. I can't speak for Android because I really don't know. So, let me just make everything 0 so we can start fresh. Okay, because the last time I was using this, I was trying to explain to people how they could lease a Hellcat or why it made more sense to lease than it does to finance. So the first thing I'm going to say is that you should always lease German, buy Japanese. Now, some people don't believe in leasing, and the reason why is because they're like, oh yeah, well you never own nothing, you never own nothing. It's like, well, here's the thing. Certain people have excellent credit, and they don't need a car for a very long time. Some people may only need a car for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, and maybe they want to get something new. Rich people lease their cars. That's the reason why you always see them in a brand new Mercedes or a brand new BMW or Audi. They lease their cars, and the reason why is because as beautiful as they look and as well as they take turns and all that bullshit, as soon as you get past the warranty period, it becomes so ridiculously expensive to repair those things and to maintain those things that nobody wants to keep them. So basically, they drive around in it for 3 years or whatever, and then they hand it right back, no questions asked, and that's it. So they may lease one of these shitty BMW 3 Series or something like that, and they'll only pay about, maybe $400, $499 a month or whatever. And as soon as that piece of shit starts breaking down, hey, dealer, take this piece of shit back, and that's it. And that's it. So it makes sense for them to lease these expensive cars, and the reason why, again, is because it costs so much to maintain them. So anyway, no matter what kind of loan you're working with, you're usually going to be dealing with 4 factors. A loan amount, a term, interest rate, monthly payments. Here's the mistake. The mistake that most people make is when they go in looking for a car, they're worried about the monthly payments. They're not worried about the interest rate. Moto Man was reading some statistics, and none of them I even bothered to remember. But one of the key points was that younger people don't pay attention to interest rates. That's because the vast majority of them have been so ruined by communist core mathematics in these public schools that most of them can't even really count to 10 without taking off their shoes. So let's assume they don't understand interest rate. Well, basically, the lower your interest rate, the better the loan is. How do you get a low interest rate? Well, first of all, you have to have excellent credit. I have over 800 as a low score. My credit is excellent. I can lease anything. I can pretty much buy anything I want. When it comes to home loans, I'm even better. Now, a lot of people, they've got student loans, so they can't easily do that. So what I'm saying is you have to have excellent credit, which means don't screw up your credit, buying those shitty Android phones from Sprint or whatever. But what you got to do is you got to take good care of your credit, so this way you can qualify for low interest rates. The lower your interest rate, the better the loan is. And I'm going to talk about reason why in a minute. So the mistake that most people make is they try to buy based on monthly payments. So let's say for instance that I really need a car real bad. Let's say that I'm buying a car for $30,000. So that's $30,000. So I put in my $30,000 loan amount. Number of months. Now this is interesting. So I'm going to do this in two ways. I'm going to say number of months. Let's say that my number of months for $30,000 loan, let's say it's 3 years. Let's say it's 36 months. 3 years is 36 months. And let's say my interest rate is 3%. Let's say I have excellent credit. I qualify for 3%. Monthly payments on that $30,000 car is going to be $872. Total interest paid at the end of that term will be $1,407. So that means that you borrowed $30,000, but on top of that $30,000, you're going to pay these people $1,400 for allowing you to borrow the $30,000, and then on top of that, your total amount that you paid back will be $31,407, or at least that's what it's expected to be. Now, the reason why I like Loanulator is because they also have an amortization system which allows you to see exactly how much this loan is costing you on a month-to-month basis. So basically, if I want to if I want to say, okay, by the 28th month, how much will I have spent? Well, it says my principal amount, or the principal payment, is $853, and the total loan remaining is $6,901. And by that time, I have paid them $1,329. So that's how this works. It's a very simple, straightforward calculator, and it's such a beautiful calculator. I've tried to use other calculators online, and I hate them because they're very complicated. I don't like the way they look. I like it nice and simple. This is beautiful. I've been using this since I got my iPhone. I pretty much love it. By the 36th month, it'll be $870 that you've paid for your last payment. The interest payment on that $870 would only be $2.18. By that time, you have paid them $1,407 in interest, and there's $0 left in your loan. See? You see how simple it is? It's just those things. Principal payment, interest payment, loan remaining, total interest. It's very simple. So anyway, this is the loan amount if it was a $30,000 car, and I'm paying $872 a month. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen, because you go to Toyota, you go to Honda for one of those shitty Accords. They're not going to give you a 36-month loan. What they're going to do is they're going to say, well, we're going to give you this thing for 74 months or 72 months. Now your monthly payments are only $444. So your monthly payments decrease to $444, and because you're a young kid, you've got student loans and, all this stuff, you're worried about your monthly payments. So now the interest total you've paid has gone to $2,897. So by the end of your loan, you have paid them $32,897. Most people really don't care how much the loan will cost them as long as they're able to get what they want. And that's the biggest problem. When you're talking about depreciation, unless you're really looking at a calculator, it's hard for people to understand that these cars are depreciating assets, and they depreciate to the point where you can't resell them. So first of all, for some people, as I said, you lease German, you buy Japanese. If you buy one of these crappy Accords or something, you're probably going to keep that piece of shit for about 10 years. Some of you keep it for 20 years. And some of you pass it down to your kids. You keep that piece of garbage all that time. So as long as it keeps running, you really don't care as long as it keeps running. By that time, there's almost zero value left in it after that 10 years. But you don't care because you're just keeping it anyway. Now, as far as people who do care, what you're talking about is somebody who buys a car, keeps it for a couple of years, and then wants to trade it in for something else. They want to have residual value, which is the reason why the higher your interest rate is, the worse that loan is for you. Because you think about it. Let's say I buy a $30,000 car that loses, half its value. If that's the case, well, then now, 3 years and it's only worth $15,000. Well, obviously, I can't easily trade it for parity on another $30,000 car. The other problem is your interest rate. Let's say you have shitty credit because you were too busy buying shit off of Amazon that you had no intention of paying for, and now you're in default with Discover Card. So anyway, let's say your interest rate is a 6%. So with this same loan, now your monthly payments have jumped to $486, which is not too bad. But over that time period, you've paid them $5,965. So you've paid them $35,965 total. So you see how pretty much how this system works. It's a very, very simple calculator. I love it. It's absolutely fabulous. And that's just how it works. It's a very easy thing to use. So you can use this to calculate just about any loan. Let's say if you want to buy a house. Let's say if you buy a house that's, let's say it's $300,000. And let's say your number of months, 30-year fixed mortgage, 360 months. Your interest rate, let's say you have fabulous credit, your interest rate is 4%. Monthly payments, $1,432. So that's your mortgage minus obviously your taxes are not factored into that because I didn't do taxes. But your base mortgage is $1,432. So by the end of the time that you pay back the bank, your mortgage will have cost you a total of $515,000. So from $300,000, and we're just talking about the mortgage, not the escrow taxes, it will cost you $515,000 to buy a house. Now, let's say you have shitty credit because you were too busy ordering stuff at, like Best Buy, and you didn't pay the bills on time, and Best Buy fucked up your credit. Let's say instead of a 4%, let's say you got a 6%. Well, now your monthly payments jump to $1,798, and by the end of the time you finish paying for that house, $647,000. You see? Voila, that's how it works. And the banks, now this is the problem though. This is what the banks do. Let's say I wanted to buy that same $30,000 car, and let's say that they were going to offer me a 74-month, and let's say my interest rate was a 3.3%, and let's say my monthly payments are $448, right? Now here's the problem. What happens when somebody says, "Oh, that's too high. I can't afford that. I got babies to feed. I got babies." So what do? Okay, let me work something out. So this is what these bastards, these sons of bitches, this is what they do. They take that 74 months, they stretch it out to 86 months. Now your monthly payment is $392. Oh, that's pretty good. Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I can afford that. That's $40 cheaper. I can use the other $40 to buy crystal meth. So now look at that. $33,728. So you're paying about $3,728. So what they've done was they shifted the upfront cost to the back of your loan. So over all that time, you're like, wait a minute. This loan is taking me freaking 7 or 8 years to pay off. Now, guess what? Some of these banks like Santander and some of these subprime shit banks for people with really bad credit, what they will do is they'll put you in a 144-month loan. 144 months, or as I like to call it, 12 years a slave. Monthly payments drop to $252, but now you've paid them $36,000 if you ever finish paying off that car. Because if you had to get a 144-month payment in the first place, most likely you were deadbeat, probably paying off that child support. So anyway, $36,371. That's how much it's going to cost you. Would you believe that shit? Now, imagine this, maybe there's some bank out there that's stupid enough to sell me a Lamborghini Aventador, and they stretch that payment out to 144 months and give me, let's say like a 3%. No, in fact, fuck that. Let's give me a 1 point, because I got excellent credit. 1.9. No, you can't do it negative. This is not Europe. So let's say they give me a 1.9% interest rate. Monthly payments, $4,662. Goddamn. Well, maybe if they stretch it out to 500 months, I could afford it. Nope. Okay, so maybe if they stretch it out to 10,000 months, then it's only $950 a month. I can afford a Lamborghini for the price of my Jeep, but I'll be dead long before I pay it off. So basically, that's how the loan calculator works. If you've got student loans, works the exact same way. Let's say you went to one of these shitty liberal arts schools and got some useless liberal arts degree that you'll never be able to get a job in. And right now, after having spent about, $40,000 per semester, let's say you're in $105,000 worth of debt. So let's see, they'll give you pretty much to the rest of your natural life to pay it off. So you're going to be paying it off for quite some time. So let's say that the government refied that shit for, 5%. And your monthly payments, let's say that monthly payment's about $1,000. You can work backwards because you only need 3 out of the 4. The number of months it's going to take you is 138 months to pay it off at $1,000 a month. It'll take you 138 months. So that's not 12 years, but it's like 11 or something like that. You see? So it's a very simple process. This is how it works. And all you need is any 3 out of the 4 values to get the 4th value, as you can see. It's a very straightforward, beautiful process. I love it. And that's basically it. So these people who are asking about like Hellcats, oh wow, I want a Hellcat real bad. Well, first of all, unless you've got a lot of money coming in, that's not the car for you. I'm just going to tell you up front. So what they've been doing is they've been leasing these things, and it kind of almost doesn't make sense because the problem is these cars are like, let's say these cars are $70,000, right? But they really come out to about 75 once you factor in taxes. And the number of months, what they do is they'll take you to some shitty credit union and they'll stretch it out to say 86, 84, something like that, right? So let's say they charge you a 3%. The monthly payments are $970. About. So it's going to be about $1,000. The Jeep SRT is a little bit more. The Jeep SRT, they don't have deals on. So let's say that thing is about $80,000. Now the monthly payments is about $1,034. That's where I am. Mine's about $1,030 flat. So that's pretty much how it works. And this doesn't factor in other things like taxes, insurance. This doesn't factor in any of that. But I urge everybody who has an iPhone or an iPad to buy this loan calculator. Well, not buy it because it's actually free if you can still get it off the App Store. But I have it on everything in my iCloud. I love this loan calculator. It's fabulous. I absolutely love it. So basically, Moto Man, he did a great job talking about why you shouldn't buy a Hyundai G90 because, basically it's a quickly depreciating asset. But if you really wanted one, the best thing to do is lease it. So this way you won't really get stuck with the negative equity at the end of the loan. Because when that Hyundai gets boring and then they make like something else and you say, I don't think I want this, I want to get like a Hyundai G100 or something like that. And when it gets boring and you want to leave them, the problem is now your car is not worth what you paid for it. So you're like, I really wish I had never bought this thing in the first place. And, it's a good car and everything. But my point is, if you're going to buy one of these high-tech cars where the technology and the styling changes rapidly, the best thing you can do is lease it. If you're buying like a Ford F-150 or something, specifically because you need it to work, if you need it like, for doing manual labor like a truck, the best thing to do is finance it because it's a long-term keeper. A long-term keeper, you kind of don't really worry so much about what the value of trade-in is because by the end of the term, after you've put like 200,000 miles on it, it's not going to be worth anything anyway. It's going to be worth maybe a couple $100. And if you're dealing with one of these already pre-used cars, the best thing you could do is steer clear from a used car because the value has already decreased. For you, it makes sense because you want to buy a used German car so you can look cool for your friends. But the reality of the situation is the maintenance on that thing is going to be what kicks your ass. So even if you're only paying like $100 or $200 a month, when you have to start, buying transmissions and shit like that, your little monthly savings isn't really going to make much difference at that point. So this has been another episode of Big Truck Series SRT News in 4K.